Good morning. Okay, it is really early in the morning. It is 4:30. Normally, I wake up between 4 and 5, and I meditate and do my morning practice. However, I have some stuff going on inside, so my system is not doing what I normally do. But I feel really good because I've been spending this time that I've been awake um, having a really good conversation with God, myself, and my whole spiritual team. So I'm on day 4 of food sobriety, and it's not been easy. But let me tell you, let me work backwards a little bit. Last night before I went to bed, I, yesterday I just had anxiety, and even though I ate within the parameters of my food sobriety, I was not sober with television or YouTube. I did a lot of binge watching, and the binge watching has the exact same frenetic energy of it's like being a rabbit, or not even a rabbit, like a squirrel that is scared and running for its life. So I had that energy yesterday, and normally I would have food and YouTube. But I didn't add the food in, which was great for my body physically and even good for myself mentally, although I didn't pick up on it. I didn't feel good about it at all. As a matter of fact, I sat and I watched YouTube, and I felt miserable the whole time. And I tried to negotiate for food, and I didn't give it to myself, but I was still feeling the feelings. Anyway, so the whole day went like that, just really addictive, compulsive behavior. And the with the television, again, I turned it off finally at 10 o'clock. And I thought, okay, I got to do something. So I, said the prayer before I went to bed of, let's talk about this, God. We got some work to do. And I go to bed, and I think I'm asleep for no more than an hour. And I wake up, or I fall into this dream of Jesus coming into my room. And I feel a tremendous sense of fear and loathing for Jesus. It is amazing how I felt it. I felt it in my body here in bed. It wasn't just in the dimension where I was dreaming. It was for real. And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus is evil. I see Jesus is evil. Wait, is Jesus evil? Wait, no, why am I seeing Jesus as a demon? Is that Jesus? That's a demon. Like, Jesus is a demon. That's what was in my mind. And I immediately woke myself up from this dream and I said, okay, God, what in the hell is going on? Like, literally, because I've never witnessed this about myself ever, you know? So I went to my oracle cards, and I used the Psychic Tarot Oracle. And the card that I got, I'm going to show you the image that came up immediately, just to remind you, just in case you forgot how powerful we are. This is the card that came up. Can you see that? It's number 15. The card is temptation. And if you look at the image, you can see that there's this being that looks like the devil turning away from the light, and that light there is a key. So the traditional meaning of the number 15 card in tarot is the devil. That's what it represents. And it represents addiction. And I'm going to just read you what this card says because it was spot on. Through this card, addictions and self-limiting behaviors are being addressed. This is a time when you or someone else in your life may be placing too much emphasis on the material world and its pleasures. Even though we're all born connected to the divine source, we have a tendency to pull away from what was once natural. When we become disconnected from spirit, the source that once nourished us, it's often replaced with a different supply or substitute. In other words, the connection is then forged with food, alcohol, nicotine, codependency to someone, or even work, hence the term workaholic. Many of us spend our lives trying to fill that void that was created when the link to the divine was broken. The temptation card is calling you to take a hard look at your life and ask yourself, where in my life am I suffering from addictive behavior? Oh, shit. Yes. So when I saw that card, I thought, yeah, this is really tough because, and this is challenging for me to even articulate because I'm getting it very strongly on a systemic level, but to put it into words, it's like really huge. So the idea is that we're connected to Source. I'm connected to Source. And when I feel this compulsion to eat or to binge watch is because I'm wanting to fill the void. And yesterday I wrote in my in my journal. I actually don't have a food journal, but I do have a regular journal where I record my feelings and what's going on. But what I was writing was about, like, when I felt this, I had a food compulsion yesterday. I felt like I wanted to eat more calories than my body needed. And it was like a gnawing hunger. And it was an emptiness. And it wasn't coming from my stomach, like my stomach was growling. It was coming from the space of my heart and the space of my, like between my heart and my solar plexus. And it felt like an empty hole that wanted to be filled. And so I sat down and I wrote about it and I said, well, I feel like I want to fill that feeling with food, and that's the feeling I have 99% of the time in my life, is that I'm trying to fill this emptiness. So rather than fill it yesterday, I wrote about it and I sat with Source, and I was very resistant to it. And that's when I started turning on YouTube and escaping through watching. And that's when it spiraled into this thing last night. And so I woke up from this dream, I get this message, and I make the realization that that emptiness, which I've always associated with feelings of deprivation, feelings of loneliness, feelings of isolation, I started realizing from the information that came in from that oracle card that maybe that feeling is more about, looking at it like I need to see myself as wanting to connect with the divine. What if that was not hunger for food, but rather hunger for connection to God? Now, I have known this intellectually for a very long time, but I've not felt it systemically. So this morning, I fell asleep a little bit. It was a really rough night of sleep, awake, weird dreams, not dreaming, feeling like having the overall sense that I've been awake the whole time, but I know that I've not been. When I woke this morning to talk to God, the conversation that I had was about listening and understanding that the hunger is for connection to God and how to make this real for myself. So I asked my oracle cards again. First, I sat there talking to myself, like trying to feel how I felt about this new awakening. And the feeling I got was really interesting. It said, well, that feeling of connecting to God is not enough. I need more. And I said, well, that's really interesting to say that it's not enough to feel the connection to God. And I started realizing, well, I need to feel things. Like when I eat, yes, I'm eating for taste, but that's a sensation. I like sensuality. I like having my senses stimulated. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you, God. Sometimes sitting still in meditation is not enough for me to get the fix that I need. I want physical sensation, which is why I eat. And when I watch television, I'm watching two things: comedy or horror. Two extremes, things that are making me laugh really, really hard, or things that are making me recoil with fear, and get, those really dark emotions. So extremes. Well, guess what card I get next? Okay. The next card I get is hilarious. It's Temperance. Can you see that? Temperance. Now, the Temperance card is about bringing two extremes into balance. Two extreme ways of being into balance. And the message is this, and the message is spot on. This is what it immediately was like, yeah, this is what you need to do. It says, she gathers herself, reaches within for the calm center, that place of balance. From her center, she feels the dragon and phoenix stirring. They twine about one another. They embrace in a sinuous twisting of scale and feather until it seems that one melts into the other. They coil around each other in a timeless battle for supremacy, choreographed in an elegant waltz of give and take, push and pull. They swirl about her in a maelstrom that assaults the senses. Really? Like, come on. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I want an assault on my senses. That's why it's horror or comedy, It's feeling my feelings. It's why I have to overeat so that I can feel it. Even when I go out running, I have to run really, really hard, In the beginning, I overrun. I'm huffing and puffing. I got to feel it. And then, of course, my body slows me down and I find a balance and it feels good, and I get a rhythm that feels right. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. But in the beginning, it's always like, I got to feel the run. Anyway, so this card represents harmony and equilibrium, the balancing of opposites. So what I realize this morning, what I'm awakening to, is an understanding that my senses mean a lot to me. Now, when we meditate, my senses, or when I meditate, I do my morning meditation and it feels really good. My senses, though, are calmed. There's not any attack on there's no maelstrom going on during my meditation period. But I realize I only want that once a day, maybe twice a day, at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. In the middle of the day, I like to feel my shit, okay? I like to be in sensuality, feeling things, seeing things. So I started making a list this morning of the things that I can feel where I feel connected to God, but it's not in that addictive list. And um, I realize that the next place that I feel God most strongly is when I'm out in nature and I'm taking a walk, or when I'm running as well. But when I'm walking, I'm out and it's this beautiful landscape, whether it's foggy or cold or rainy or sunny or snowy, it doesn't matter. I feel that same intensity um, of sensuality when I am out in nature. And I feel it sometimes when I'm calm. I feel it. Okay, so sorry, I'm going off. I think it's okay for me to wrap up my video here. This is the next level of growing. And the temptation card that I see lets me know that it's now time. At the same time, I need to combat, while I'm combating and being sober with food, I now have to be sober with television or YouTube. Television, really, anything that I'm watching, movies, anything that requires me watching. So interestingly, I turned off YouTube last night at 10 o'clock, which, on a 24-hour clock like we're using here in Europe is 22 o'clock, right? And my mother's number is 22. And interestingly, like, these things are just kind of happening on their own, right? They're not within my conscious control. So last night I turned off YouTube. I'm like, oh, it's 22. I got to turn it off. It's done, right? I'm done for the night. And then, so I've technically been sober from YouTube since 22. And now, for food on Sunday, when I said, okay, I'm done eating, I looked at the clock. It was 22. So, and 22 is my mom's number. It's her number. It's her numerology, and it's what I've been using since she's died. It's been the number that shows up always when there's a mommy issue. And I started understanding that it was a mommy issue probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And it's been pretty consistently representing mommy issues ever since. And in this way, it's not so much a mommy issue as much as it is a mommy guidance. So I feel like my mom is, I feel like my mom is guiding my healing experience. She has an integral role with my healing experience. Very often it's because of shit she did when she was alive. But I'm aware that that's a contractual, energetic thing, that's not just about her. It's about us as energetics. We're God, and we had a soul contract, and she's probably my bestie, or I'm an aspect of her, or whatever. She's an aspect of me. She's a projection of me. However, it doesn't matter. For the experience I'm having, it was not an easy one. So a lot of times the healing that she does is about healing the wound that I have around her. But also I am very aware of the loving guidance that she has, that she is offering me around myself, my own healing, with my own karma, with my own drama, with my own life lessons that have nothing to do with her, because I have my own set of demons that I get to work out as well. All right, going to sign off, and yeah, wishing you a journey of blessings and awakenings. And if you are suffering with any kind of an addiction, yeah, just I wish you all the best. It's quite a process. It's so confusing because it gives so much pleasure, you know? And that's the God part. That's the God part, is the pleasure. You know, it's like, okay, I want the pleasure of the cupcake. I want the pleasure of Saturday Night Live, you know? Do you know how many Saturday Night Live episodes are on YouTube? A bazillion. You could watch Saturday Night Live forever. It's been on for so long. It brings so much joy, and it's that pleasure that that is God, but it's the pleasure, the abuse of the pleasure that takes us away from God. I love that card, man. That card, the temptation card, was so powerful. I'm going to look at it again. I'm going to show it to you again, because to have that puppy show up like that was pretty amazing. To wake out of that dream, literally, in that dream with Jesus, as, you know, I saw Jesus as the devil, and I'm like, and there would, it's amazing because there were these like kind of dark, thorny tentacles that were wrapping around him. And I remember I was hiding under my desk from him. In the dream, I was hiding under my desk. I'm like, "You're evil. I don't want you. You're false. I can't trust you. I can't trust you." Actually, I didn't realize that's what I was saying, but that's what I was saying. I was saying, "You can't be trusted." Oh. And then you get this card, and there are these kind of weird tentacles that are coming up over him, and I know it's not actually there. It looks more like flames, or, but actually it looks actually like hair. I've never seen it like that before, but it looks like hair is like he's coming out of your scalp. That's weird. I don't know if you can see it so well, but it looks like hair coming out of his scalp to me. That's really funny. Um, but it, oh, look at that. I didn't notice that either. In the center of his chest is a lock, and he's turning away from the key. Didn't notice that. And that's where I have the gnawing feeling between the solar plexus and the heart. Well, that's more at like his solar plexus. So the key is at his solar plexus, not at his heart. And he's turning away for the key. Wow, I'm just really, the symbology of tarot is so powerful. If you don't have if you don't have tarot cards, I suggest you get them. If you're traveling like me, use the electronic ones. They're wonderful. I love them because, number one, they're always giving me this kind of great guidance, but they have so many of them. The one that I was using with the Temptation card is the Psychic Tarot, and the other one with the Temperance card is Shadowscapes. The other one I use most often is Druidcraft. I can't see what I'm showing you. I don't know if you can even see those. Maybe they're not even clear. Sorry. Anyway, I've got tons of cards, and they are so helpful to keep me grounded. Yeah. All right, signing off. Bye for now, friends. Thanks for listening.